today we're really here to talk about native seed projects, some of the expectations of seed, what you would see after years 1, 2, and 3 after planting. Seed is sometimes one of those afterthoughts going into projects. Sometimes they fail because it could be site prep, it could be soil, the incorrect application or the incorrect seed mixture may not have been used. Now this is actually a great project. This is actually on the Trent Severn through Parks Canada, just across the river from Trent University, which is really close to my home, and is actually able to watch this project. That was seeded in 2018, and you can see it's done very well. The application is done correctly, the seed mixture performed well, and also the native seed crop that was implemented into this project worked amazing. So those, it's always nice to see a project flourish and do really well. Planting objectives. What are your objectives? To create a stable and durable surface that can withstand the effects of wind, water, and gravity. To enhance the habitat value and biodiversity of the area, providing food, shelter, and sites for wildlife. On a site like we just saw, you'll usually typically see birds, pollinators, wildlife going to these sites. To improve the water quality, as many of the other speakers have been talking about, through filter socks and the curtains, that is huge. Plants are great filters. They filter a lot of pollutants out and protect the environment from erosion going back into waterways. And it's definitely to preserve the natural character and beauty of the area. Native seeds definitely can do that, but there's also implementation of putting turf seed into native products, or also using legumes such as clovers, trefoils. Also, forage crops are another great option to implement within mixtures such as timothies and alfalfas because of the rooting that they actually create and beautiful scenarios, and they'll bring wildlife back into those areas. Reduce runoff and sediment. Native plants have evolved with soil conditions and weather specific to local environments. That is also going back to when speccing projects, looking at species that are maybe in the area, but also what is available in the seed avenue. A lot of seed that may be local to the area isn't actually produced for seeding. You're actually relying on Mother Nature to remove those seeds and to place them into those areas. The root system of native plants provide long-term soil stabilization by anchoring and knitting together the soil particles. The foliage provides cover for the soil, buffering it against erosion caused by droplet impact. This decreases runoff and sediment by improved groundwater infiltration, which everyone here we've been talking a lot about today. So selecting the correct mixture will help do all of those things. Obviously, there is different seeding times, spring and fall. Cool season species germinate soon after seeding. Warm season species need soil temperatures of up to 15 degrees. Seeding can be delayed until weed control can be accomplished. Weed control within many of these sites are very difficult because herbicides are not allowed to use. A lot of that will have to be handpicked, or if you have noxious weeds, you may be able to spray a Roundup on that, but on most of these scenarios, that is not the application. And also irrigation during dry times is also is crucial. Spring seeding can be difficult because it can get very dry very quickly because our environments have changed drastically. I am a big believer in fall seedings. Fall seedings beginning usually typically by the beginning of September all the way to freeze up, you'll see the best results because Mother Nature typically is going to take care of the rainfall, the moisture from dews, and actually snowfall like this today is a huge one. actually a very interesting one, and this is something we worked on over the last couple of years, because one of the questions we always get is, what does it look like after year 1, after year 2, after year 3, and after year 4? Most native seeds actually put most of their energy in the first year into their root system. You're not going to see a lot of greenery like you would see if you planted, we'll say, a perennial ryegrass. You're going to see instant gratification. It is creating a root ball, stabilizing the soils, and then year 2, cool season grasses such as Canada wild rye and early emerging wildflowers such as black-eyed Susans, yellow cone flowers, and wild bergamot you'll begin to see. And actually, a lot of the times when I'm driving by sites and that have done some native plantings, I'll be like, usually you'll see a black-eyed Susan emerging from most sites in this region. Year 3 is when you're going to start to see some problem weeds that you may notice, and that's actually when you have to go back and hand pick those areas because the herbicide you're not able to use. And then that's also going to allow the other species to emerge and have a prolific look for the sites. And then just as we say, year 4 is when you're actually going to see the full emergence of most native species and most native mixes. And that's also, when the gratification and the look really comes out. A perfect example would be a cottage owner on Stony Lake planted a wildflower mixture, totally forgot about it, and then after the 4th year, they went back to the contractor and said, what did you guys plant? And they're like, the native wildflower which you recommended. And then so it was this year 4, it emerged from all your cone flowers, from your wild bergamots, from your milkweeds, etc. Recommended cover crop and nurse crops, and this is very important for erosion control and sediment control, and how mixtures actually survive during the germination process. And picking the right one at the right time is also very crucial. So your planting window for May and September for stabilization, a stockpile, temporary site stabilization without a seed native mixture. We would recommend a 50% oats or a 50% barley, an application rate at 60 kilos to the hectare to 52 pounds to the acre. And then your October to November time, you want to choose a winter wheat. You also could use a fall rye in that application. And you would want to do that at the exact same seeding rate. That's 60 kilos to 52 kilos to the hectare. And then for very clear, isn't it? Sorry. The restoration or enhancement of native seeds, same thing as the May and September time. You'd want to use a recommended of a 40% oats, a 45% barley, and then you could also implement a 15% Canada wild rye as the native species because it is going to come up that much quicker. And then through that October to November time, you would pick the winter wheat as your cover crop or nurse crop. And these species are really protecting your native species while germination and establishment takes place. And anytime that someone specs just a native mixture, always say, you know what, we need to put a nurse crop or a cover crop with these species to make them perform as the best because they are protecting those species as time goes on. Even if you're using a turf mixture, such as an MTO or a green fields mixture is a little bit more robust, you do want to add a cover crop or a nurse crop with it at the time. But going back to that, making sure that the seeding rate is correct on any of these cover crops is crucial because at too high of a rate, you're actually going to suffocate the species that you want to germinate and establish that site. I know that was pretty quick, but I know it's lunchtime, so we kind of got through
trucks show up and spray, but I'm often wondering